Cadet. Your life as a Foundation Security Cadet begins the same way it does for everyone. You signed a stack of paperwork the size of a phone book, you swore you read all of it, and you very much did not. You were recruited the way most guards are, pulled from the military, the police, or a correctional facility, which means you're someone who is already comfortable, standing in a hallway, looking vaguely threatening. And guess what? The Foundation likes that about you. What they like even more is that you currently know absolutely nothing, because you've been handed a Level 1 clearance, which technically means you work in proximity to the anomalous, but have zero direct access to it. In plain terms, you're allowed to stand near the horrifying doors. You're just not allowed to know what's screaming behind them. And honestly, good for you, because the veterans on your shift won't make eye contact with you. Nobody's bothered to learn your name yet, and there's a very specific reason for that, which we'll get to. For now, your job is to memorize which alarm tone means drill and which one means run, and to look confident while doing the most dangerous entry-level job on Earth. You're the greenest thing in the building, which, at the Foundation, usually means biohazard. Survival rate at your rank? Genuinely high, because they haven't trusted you with anything that can kill you yet. But hey, let's give it a week. Junior Guard. Your life as a Junior Guard means you've been promoted to the single most ominous phrase in the entire Foundation handbook, low threat perimeter, which means you stand at a checkpoint. You watch a door. The door hums. Nobody told you why the door hums, because you're still clinging to a Level 1 clearance. But they did just bump you toward Level 2, which means, for the first time, you get direct access to information about what you're guarding, and let me tell you, ignorance was the good old days. Because here's the thing you slowly figure out somewhere around week 3, usually at 3 a.m., alone under a scary flickering light. The perimeter you're guarding isn't keeping things out. It's keeping something in. You're not a gatekeeper. You're a freaking cork. And the bottle is shaking. You start noticing the veterans rotate off this post fast, the way people leave a party right before the police show up. But you will not be rotating off. You're a junior. And juniors get the humming door. And when you finally ask what's on the other side, your sergeant just looks at you, sighs, and says, "You'll find out," which is absolutely the worst possible answer a human can receive. Survival rate at your rank? Dropping. They call it standing watch. The thing behind the door calls it a dinner reservation. Security officer. Your life as a full security officer means you've now got Level 2 clearance. And Level 2 is where the Foundation stops protecting your feelings. You finally know what's behind the doors. All of them. And you will never sleep the same way again. On paper, you're trained on every weapon they own. You also get a binder of contingency plans thick enough to stop a bullet. One stack for containment breaches, one for hostile outside forces. It honestly sounds awesome, until you read the fine print and realize the contingency plan for most scenarios is, you guessed it, you. You're described in the literature as the facility's first line of defense. Sounds cool, right? Until you realize first line of defense is a nice, heroic way of saying the first thing the monster reaches. Oh, and if that wasn't bad enough, you also pull escort duty for the D class. You know, the expendable prisoners the Foundation feeds to its worst anomalies on a rotating monthly basis. And the deeply uncomfortable realization here is that on paper, you and the D class are standing in the exact same room with the exact same thing. The only difference is you're holding the clipboard. But, hey, at least you've got a cool keycard now. So, yeah, survival rate at your rank, it's not looking good, bro. You're patrolling the most haunted office building in human history, and you brought a flashlight to a reality-bending fight. Senior Security Officer. Your life as a Senior Security Officer is, technically, a success story, in the sense that you survived long enough to be handed all the jobs nobody else wanted. That's the whole promotion. You didn't get safer or whatever. You got experience, and experience at the Foundation just means you've personally seen enough that your clearance is creeping toward Level 3, and your eye twitch is creeping toward permanent. Remember those silent veterans from your cadet days who wouldn't look at you, wouldn't learn your name? Surprise. That's you now. You don't learn the rookies' names either, and it's not because you're mean, it's because you've done the math on how long they last, and you've decided it wasn't worth it. You know the breach alarms by ear. You know which corridors flood with what. You know that when the lights go red, you have roughly 3 seconds before things get philosophical about your continued existence. And for some reason, the rookies look at you like you're a legend, which you are, in the way that a guy who's been struck by lightning 4 times is a legend. Survival rate at your rank? Statistically baffling. Honestly, at this point, seniority just means a better view of the thing that's going to kill you. Corporal/sergeant. Your life as a sergeant means you've earned your stripes, which is quite funny because so did the thing in the acid tank down on sublevel 4. You're a non-commissioned officer now, which means you lead a fire team. And leading a fire team means you no longer get to avoid the bad rooms. You walk your people into them. Your shiny new level 3 clearance unlocks the in-depth files. Not just what these anomalies do, but where they came from, how they were recovered, the full origin story. And it turns out, knowing the backstory is so much worse, because now every monster has a tragic little prequel, and you still have to point a rifle at it. You're also responsible for the cadets, the wide-eyed new ones, who memorized the alarm tones last week and think this is an adventure. You know their odds. You do not share them. You just say, stay frosty, and feel like a liar. Survival rate at your rank? Command adjacent, which means you now die slightly later than the people you're commanding, so hell yeah. Lieutenant. Your life as a lieutenant means you've stopped sleeping, and you've started making the calls. You're a shift commander now, still riding level 3, and when a breach happens, it is no longer something that happens to you. It's something that happens because of how you handled it. You decide when the blast doors seal, which means you decide who's inside when they do. Let that one marinate. And here's the genuinely dark part. They don't put in the recruitment brochure. In a catastrophic site event, the official protocol allows on-site security to terminate the D-class immediately, at their discretion. Yeah, discretion. That's you. You're the discretion. You went from escorting prisoners to deciding nobody warned you the worst monster you'd meet at this job might be the binder of standard procedure. So you drink bad coffee, you stare at the camera feeds, and you wait for the night it all goes sideways. Because at the Foundation, it's never if. Survival rate at your rank? Stable technically, but your conscience is now classified as a containment breach in its own right. But you wanted to call the shots. Careful what you wish for, I guess. Captain. Your life as a captain means facility-wide responsibility and your first real taste of level 4 clearance. The site-wide, regional, big-picture intelligence that the worker bees never see. And the big picture, it turns out, is so much worse than any single monster. Because up here, you finally see the personnel classification system laid out in full, and you learn there's a hierarchy of who gets saved. Class A personnel, the essential brass, the ones the Foundation literally cannot function without. Get evacuated first, immediately, to a secure off-site location, kept far away from the anomalies at all times. And then there's a list for everyone else. You go looking for your name on the priority evacuation the way you'd check a lottery ticket. But here's a spoiler. You are not Class A. You're not on the helicopter. You are part of site security, which is a category that exists to buy the helicopter time. Remember being a cadet and not knowing anything? You'd kill to go back. Anyway, survival rate at your rank? Here's the thing they teach you at Captain. The captain goes down with the ship. So while the Class A suits take the lifeboat, you take the bullet. Security Chief. Your life as a security chief is the top of the entire ladder, the final rung, the rank you bled and twitched and stopped sleeping for. And the reward is the absolute worst gift the Foundation has to offer. Complete clarity. You hold a level 4 clearance. You answer directly to the site director, and there is now nothing about your facility you don't know. Every anomaly, every weakness, every contingency. Including the one filed under catastrophic event response. The one that quietly accounts for losing the entire security division in order to save the site. You finally understand the joke the universe has been telling since your first day. Rank and clearance were never the same thing. So a terrified private on a task force can hold a higher clearance than you ever will. While you, the chief, the boss, the top dog, are still just the most informed body in the building. The site director is Class A. The site director gets the chopper. You get a really detailed map of exactly how you die. Honestly, did you expect a parade? Anyway, survival rate at your rank? In the contingency binder, your title has a different name. It's spelled acceptable losses. So, good for you, Chief. You made it all the way to the top of the food chain, just to become the food. So, there you have it. Every rank in Foundation security. A glorious career path that begins with knowing nothing and ends with knowing exactly how it ends. If you ever get the job offer, my advice is simple. Stay a cadet, stay ignorant, and for the love of God, do not look